Welcome in, guys. Welcome in.
Hey.
Hip-hop ain't really bitch found me. Little bit of hell, little bell for the homies. Got a little green, bought a beam for the Falby. Took more shots after phase than Calby. After dark.
Okay. Let's get into this shit. I might switch before mark, I'm probably going to start. Hello, PK.
Ready for the next objective? Good to go. How can I be of assistance? What is this game?
I was like half an hour into the like just going up the hill, guys, like just zigzagging my way up like a little goat path, like really going up the mountain, and I was like, when is the finish coming? Or like, when is the end of this hill? And he's like, oh man, you're not even halfway through. And I'm like, how is this possible? That's hard enduro, I would say.
What's happening, guys and girls? My name is Becky Evans and welcome to MOTORFEST podcast. Brought to you by Red Bull and Ubisoft's iconic game, The Crew MOTORFEST. Now this is the podcast where I get to chat to some of the world's finest motorsport athletes and dig into their passions for all things speed, wings and wheels. And if you haven't already tried it, you can actually listen to the podcast whilst you're playing the game. Today I'm going to be chatting with professional motorcycle rider Manuel Lettenbichler. He's one of the very best in the world and he's an absolute champion. Born and raised in southern Germany where he's currently based, Manny has been competing for Red Bull Racing Factory since 2016, following in the footsteps of his father Andreas Lettenbichler, who was a highly successful KTM racing athlete who was top 3 in the world. Manny got his first trial bike at age 5 and at age 16 he was the youngest rider to ever complete the Red Bull Scramble Hare race, which is a one-day race which is actually the most difficult in the world. He was Super Enduro Junior Champion in 2016 and since then he has brought home the Hard Enduro Championship 4 times. If you don't know what Hard Enduro is, this is a sport where you actually tackle the most extreme terrain. We're talking rocks, we're talking mountains, we're talking off-road in its most extreme version. In 2023, Manny made history by completing the first perfect season in the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship. Now this is a feat that's only been completed by Manny and Max Verstappen in motorsport history today. So is it luck, talent, or is it a bit of both? Let's find out. Manny, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Stoked to be here.
So whereabouts in the world are you right now?
Just in Salzburg right now in Austria. Actually spending a bit of time now in the Athlete Performance Center of Red Bull because I torn one ligament at the second last round. Trying to keep myself busy with something else than riding, I'd say, like I said.
It's been a while since I've seen you. I think the last time was what, Goodwood in about 2018?
Yes, Goodwood. 2018, I think. Yeah, it's been actually a while. I wanted always to come back again because it's such a cool motorsport festival and there's so much stuff going on. And yeah, it's been a while when we met for sure. But stoked to see you again and talk.
Talking solo.
Cool stuff.
Let's jump right in. If you could
What do you
be
mean,
a
why am I
car, a
talking
plane,
solo?
a boat, or a motorbike, which would you be and why?
Like,
I think
On
like
your
like a plane probably, but like a cool plane, you know, maybe like a fighter plane or like a stunt plane could be pretty sick. I was like doing one flight one time
Wait,
with Red Bull.
I'm
like,
watching
in a stunt
the
plane,
live on
and
my
it was
phone. Hold up.
so
Testing,
cool.
testing.
Like it was probably one of the best experiences I ever had. Because we just went like doing loopings, like all of these rows, like really jumped straight into it, and I even could fly the plane. So
Wow.
Testing,
yeah,
testing.
was quite a cool experience, and I think we're so used to the dirt and the ground that I think to be a plane, like being flying around wherever you want, I think is like a pretty cool idea haven't had.
Is that something that you've always
I
been
don't
into?
know the
You know,
problem.
like
I think
to
your
go
volume is
from
just
riding
down.
bikes, getting into
Try
hard
turning up your
enduro.
volume.
It's quite an extreme sport. Like, what made you get into it in the first place?
Sure, over my dad. I got into the sport because at the end he used to be one of the best riders in hard enduro. But I more or less grew up with
Yeah,
riding
it does sound
bikes, you
pretty
know,
good.
like he always used to be this trials rider and hard enduro guy, and I got my first bike when I was 5, and from then on I was actually motivated at the beginning because we had like a big farm back home with like a couple of horses. So like as a kid, you know, you just want to be outside, hanging out around with your friends, and then one day of like training on the motorbike, I did like a rock, which was like 30 centimeter high, like more or less nothing, basically. But it made me so excited to like push myself in the sport and like trying to get better in it. And after this, I was really like hyped up and like hooked into like riding dirt bikes. And yeah, a couple of years later, we're here, probably one of the best in the world, and talk about motorsport. So like pretty freaking excited.
No, it's super cool. I mean, you remember that first experience of completing maybe a trail or something like that, and you were like, you know what, this is what I'm born to do.
Not at all. I think
Okay.
I think so many riders and like so many people already as a kid have this like they ride and they're like, okay, one day I'm gonna be a professional dirt bike rider or whatever. But me, literally until I was 16, I thought I'm maybe gonna do completely something else. Maybe I'm gonna be working on constructions or like a carpenter or like whatever. And then I really more or less found
My
the
car's
passion
loudly
to
crying
say,
face.
"Okay, I want to do this." When I finished Red Bull Brigadier back in like 2014, because I was one of the youngest finisher at this point, and for me was really like, okay, I could do something out of it. I could maybe be one of the best guys in the world. And then Red Bull came up to me and said, yeah, we're gonna try to support you for a year. And first he went pretty good, became a Super Enduro Junior World Champion, and from then on, I was really like, okay, this could be a pretty cool living on like a pretty cool lifestyle, you know, like you more or less make your hobby to your job and you can just enjoy riding a dirt bike. The
skateboard
coolest,
then.
gnarliest terrain on earth.
I mean, I think that really explains your personality when I first met you. It's not a case of like, I knew what I was going to do. I was going to go,
Stop.
I was pretty good at it. And now we're just still cracking on. And we're winning some championships. We're doing some perfect seasons. And for the listeners out there, the Earth Mode Rodeo that he's talking about, let me tell you, as a hobbyist enduro rider, that is the hardest enduro in the world. When I watch the videos on it, I'm like, that looks like
It's no shame in trying again.
like pain. You must get like halfway through it and be like, why am I doing this?
I think most of the people, they don't even get halfway through. I think like hard enduro, for all of you guys who are listening to it, it's just like short explain, like it's riding a dirt bike through the gnarliest terrain what you can find. So like you have to imagine like rocks which are like 2 meters high, like uphills which are like more sometimes than like 80 degrees steep, downhills where you like have to
Oh my
more or
god,
less
you said
push your
ran
bike down
1500.
because it's like
Hold up.
too steep to like ride it down. Like the good thing is gravity always
pretty
brings
sure
it
I got it
down, so
around.
it's like pretty nice. But like in the uphills, it's like pretty difficult. But yeah, like Red Bull Earthquake is one of the hardest
if I'm
races in
gonna
the world,
ram,
and
I'm probably
there's
gonna
like
look at
2,000
see if
starters.
they
At the end, it's like 500 who is going into the finals, and I think like average like 15 people make it.
They don't have a
15
ramp. They
people
might not
make
have
it
a
into
ramp.
the
They might
finish
not have
after
a
4
ramp.
hours.
If
Everybody is
they
like
are.
who is into motorsport should come to Red Bull Earthquake for one day, just even just to see this festival vibe, because it's pretty cool.
So let's talk about the sport as a whole.
I gotta
Let's
find
break
it.
it down. So for somebody that had never come across hard enduro before, tell me what the sport is in your words.
I think hard enduro is
My God,
really
bro.
riding your dirt bike through the
By the way,
gnarliest
guys, if you hear
terrain.
anything in the background, that's just
Like
my sister
what we can
cleaning,
find, like
'cause Thanksgiving's
it can
tomorrow
be
for us.
rocks, it can be like a dirt, it can be even like from dirt to asphalt, it can be like uphills, downhills. You have to think through the mountain.
How many cars do you have?
Like really say,
It says
really cool
it says
race, or
up
like
on
a
the top
really
right.
good day
That's
of riding
my bad.
hard
Top
enduro
left,
would be
where it says
go
profile
out
slash vehicles.
and
I got
go behind your house,
155
right into
out
the
of
trees and see where you end up.
794.
You know? Like I think this is more or less
I
really
do collect
being
money though.
out there
You need
and
to collect
like
money.
searching
Doing
for
races,
the
and if you
hardest
complete races,
path
you
what
can do them over and
find.
over again
And,
and get more
super
money.
demanding sport, and it's
Please
quite
screaming in
nice
fear.
in our sport because we have quite a lot of different race formats, so it's
Yeah,
never
I
the
know.
same at every race,
Pretty.
which makes it a bit difficult maybe for the viewers and for the outside to
don't know why
understand
Ferrari's
sometimes, but
back
for
here.
us as riders,
Oh, I know
it's
why.
maybe not too bad, because we can have a race
let me
which can
look.
be 2 hours long, but can
Hold up. I
have
don't
also
got
a
one. I
race
gotta
which
check if
can be
I gotta check if they
5
even have
days
it.
long, where we wake up every day at like 4 in the morning and you go out there, ride 8 hours on the day, you know. I think that's quite hectic and has a bit of this rally race format what we have out there. For example, like Daniel Sanders and Luciani already maybe talking about this, and yeah, it's quite interesting, but it's a pretty cool sport. And if all of the viewers out there who have never watched it, definitely check it out on Red Bull TV, because it's a pretty cool vibe and a pretty cool paddock and like some good characters.
And does the extremity of the terrain denote how long it is? So if something is really, really hard, would that be only a 2-hour race? Or if it was like maybe a little bit less extreme, it would be longer, like you said, an 8-hour day? Or is it all
sure.
just really hard?
Maybe all just really hard. I think it's different hard, you know, like you can have a race which can be 8 hours long and is maybe hard, but because the track isn't too hard, but it's just long. Then you can have like a 2 hours race, which can be so difficult to ride, and you really have to push your bike. You have to like really fight like for every little centimeters
PK, I
that you
don't
like
think
move
they got
forward.
it. I'm
And
so sorry. dude.
it can
I
be
don't
also
think they
like
got the
super
ramp 1600 in
difficult
here.
and super hard on your body. But
I'm gonna keep on
I
checking
think
though.
that's what sometimes hard enduro is also about, you know. Like it's already in the discipline's name. Like it's not only enduro, it's like hard enduro, and that's why I think every kind of riding situation can makes it hard, and it's never easy to compete and to ride it.
So let's talk about how it's judged. Is it a case of first man who makes it
Oh,
over
they
the
do
line
got it.
wins, or how is it judged?
Most of the time, like
yeah,
this way.
I do not have that.
So
is
we have
that
like
is
starts
expensive.
like at,
$600.
we take Red Bull Earthquake video.
That
It's
is
like 500 people on the
$600,000.
start line, and the flag drops, and they're all out, and first
Yeah,
guy
I'm
who's
sorry,
in the
I
finish
did
wins
not
the day,
have that is
or like wins the race.
$600,000.
But then we have this rally formats where we are more basically having like the fastest time every day. So you
I
could
don't think I'll
start
ever have that
10th,
car.
finishing 5th, but still be the fastest guy on the day,
I'm saving up for
and
this,
you can
so
win the
I'll
day.
do it.
So it's a bit of
Right.
different formats out there, but more or less the fastest guy or the
140,
first guy in the
I bet.
finish,
I mean, it's pretty
like in
fast.
every race,
I-
is the
I'll put it
fastest
like, you know.
fastest rider of the day, and the fastest rider of the day for sure wins the race as well. So it's more or less in every other sport, you know, you can be the fastest guy or like the fastest racer, and you win your competition. And
Welcome to the last
it's
episode.
quite nice to have those formats.
Yeah, it's so different to drifting. I mean, that's a completely judged sport where it's speed, style, line, and angle, and it's just so different. It's down to a judge saying whether they liked how you did something, whereas this is purely a case of if you can make it to the end,
Yeah.
then you deserve your trophy.
Then you deserve your trophy. And like sometimes I'm getting a bit like I'm watching some drifting, for example, and I'm like, oh, that looks sick, you know, like that looks really sick. And then you see like the competitions, and you're like, I have no idea how they end up with this result, but probably he wins because you like made the sickest style and probably the best speed. But it's quite interesting to see it from the outside, you know. I think for me as like a core racer, to have like this kind of different race form, or like race formats more or less, there's like other disciplines or like other things where really decide who's going to be the winner of the day. I think it's super cool to see. Same thing with like freestyle motocross, like is same thing, speed, style, and like I'm not sure, swag or something like this. Basically, but it's pretty interesting, and at the end the judges gonna make a pretty good job of this.
It's not like other disciplines in motorsport where you have to have a license or you have to have completed X amount of other races before you can compete at this level. I could literally rock up with my bike and give it a go, right?
Definitely. Like if you're keen and if you're excited enough to like sign up maybe for Earth, for example, it could be super easy, you know. Like I think that's why our sport is so accessible also for everybody, because we for sure race like world championship races, but we also have like these amateur classes at some races, and at Erzberg, like more or less everybody can show up and say, hey man, I saw this crazy race, I'm gonna sign up and gonna give it a go. And it's pretty cool to say this, because there's not a lot of motorsport sports out there who can really do this.
So if I got a Notion one Saturday afternoon, you could end up seeing me on a hard enduro course. Yeah,
sure. Just open up a Red Bull, maybe thinking about it. Could be a really nice thought to do Red Bull next year. You never know, maybe we're gonna see Becky Evans ripping around on Red Bull Brigadier.
So we're talking about the vehicles. Let's talk about your current competition bike. It's the KTM 300cc. It's a two-stroke 300cc, and you describe it as, a light bike. It's aggressive, it's snappy, it's soft. It's way more than a four-stroke, for example. So for you guys out there, you're actually riding a two-stroke. What does that mean for the listeners who have never ridden a bike?
I think for the listeners who've never ridden a bike, so it's like in motorsport, two-wheel side, there's like this four-strokes engine and this two-strokes engine, which is already probably the biggest differences. And like a two-stroke bike is like I already explained it, like you said, is a bit more like this lighter feeling, is a bit.
The island to map out the area. Here, mountains give birth to bamboo forests, and beaches are as red as the fire of a raging volcano. This island is ready to reveal its beauty, and that's what this playlist is all about. We've also put together challenges and side activities to explore every nook and cranny of the island.
Well, guys, towards the hour mark, I am going to be changing to. I'll probably add the hour mark. By the way, if you guys are watching live, please type hey. I would love to know that. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I would love to get to know y'all. What time is it? It is okay. My bad. I know my time for 10 minutes with the World Cup. Guys, I'll be right back.
Back to the interview.
And like a two-stroke bike is like I already explained it, like you said, is a bit more like this lighter feeling, is a bit like aggressive, so it's also a bit more difficult to ride, but then also for us, because we're riding so technical stuff, it gives us like this good feeling about riding, because we need sometimes like this aggressive like clutch moment on like gas control to like really make up like a 2-meter step, you know, to really jump up there and like having like this snappy feeling on it, which is super nice. And I think I wouldn't say that it's like a tractor, but it has like this dragging feeling a bit more than like a two-stroke, so it's a bit easier to ride. And for us, this just light feeling, it's super important, because you're out there working really hard through just to get to the finish. So it's like your main competitor is already also the track. So I think that's a difference compared to like a MotoGP guy or like a motocross guy. So we really fight already the track, and then we have to fight the competitors as well. And then it's nice to don't have like a heavy bike or like a heavy feeling bike. So that's why most of the guys and myself are on a two-stroke, and I hope we can ride a two-stroke for many more years.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, obviously, when you're riding enduro, there's a lot of sort of getting on and off the bike, and being able to pick it up as well.
Yeah.
And I know from riding four-strokes, they're really quite heavy. So if you're doing a longer course, the two-stroke is definitely a lot easier to pick up and just keep riding on, so you don't use up all of that energy reserves. I was about to ask you, can you describe the look, the sound, the smell, the feel of the bike, and obviously the suspension there, that is such a core component of the feel of the bike.
I think a chainsaw exactly sounds like a two-stroke KTM. It's like you just like start it, it's just like bam, 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 bam. It's like quite noisy bike, but like quite high revs as well, which is pretty cool. But our bikes are quite soft, like I said, so suspension is pretty soft. But then also one of the main components, which is super important, is as well tires, which are super soft. And we ride with like a mousse gummy, which is more or less just like a bit of foam inside the tire, so we don't use air, so we can't get any puncture. So if you're out there on the rocks, which are super gnarly and like super
sharp.
By the way, guys,
we can't get a flat. So that's super important for racing. That's why we use like a mousse, just to save it of that. And we can really go soft with it. So it's like sometimes people push my tire and you almost can push it onto the rim because it's that soft.
I didn't know that. I didn't realise, because I did think to myself sometimes, I was like, surely people get punctures, but you just completely answered my question there. Thank you. How do you think that your tastes and your needs for what the bike can do for you has evolved over time? Has hard enduro got harder?
Definitely got way harder. Like, if I'm thinking now, all the technical parts on my bike, all the tires, all the suspension, there's so many parts which are developed now, let's say the last 15 years. When I remember when I came to the races in like 2006, for example, I was 8 at this point, and I just came to the race and watched my dad, and they went more or less on a motocross tire. So for the listeners out there, like a motocross tire is like a super hard, compact tire, and it doesn't really like stick to the ground that much. It's digging a lot, so it's like good for gravel and like dirt. But if you go over rocks and like obstacles, it just doesn't like move at all. So I think it's now, if you see from like 2006 or like before 2010 to like right now, it's such a big difference. And I think that's why also the sport got way hard, and every organizer right now wants to have like the hardest race as well. And I think sometimes we as riders have to more or less stop the organizers to don't make it too difficult, because we are right now in this position and at the moment where some things are just getting out of control, and then we almost can't make it up the hill because it's too difficult. I think like this year in like bunch of races we had this feeling, and it was just gnarly and nuts. Like I crashed myself one time like in an uphill, and we started, and I was like half an hour into the uphill, like just going up the hill, guys, like just zigzagging my way up like a little goat path. like really going up the mountain, and I was like, when is the finish coming, or like when is the end of this hill? And he's like, oh man, you're not even halfway through. And I'm like,
Guys,
how is this
guys,
possible?
I'm texting somebody. Hold up.
That's hard enduro, I would say.
Like you were saying, the trails are getting harder, like this is evolving. Like, are you having to refine your bike to keep up with the demands?
Definitely, we have to refine our bikes. Like our bikes right now is one of the most important things as well. If the bike setup is not on point, you can't be there and win a race. Like everything has to work for sure. I think a lot of people out there who are thinking motorsport is like, okay, you like sit in something and or like you go on a bike and the bike is doing more or less a job. But guys, I can tell you for sure still the body is doing most of it. Like it's a really demanding sport. Now because the sport is so professional that you really have to know that your body is fit, but then also your bike have to be spot on, and that's why the bike setup has to be really on a high level, and there's no time for any mistakes.
Let me tell you, Manny, I have never sweat like I sweat on an enduro bike. It is insane. You're constantly trying to balance it. You're using all of your weight off the side of the bike. You're picking it up, push it. It's a full body workout. It's a complete man and machine situation there.
Yeah, but you get used to it, you know? It's like with everything, you know? If you're like a runner out there or like even like a drift car driver, like Euro, for example, you know? Like you get used to like having all of this like shifting gears and like brake, and I think like for myself it will be pretty difficult.
Dude, it's the physical endurance of enduro. Trust me, I'm way less under pressure in a drift car than I am on an enduro bike.
Yeah, that's true, probably.
So let's talk about risk and reward. What has been one of the most scariest trails that you've come across or attempted on your bike?
Ooh, scariest trails. That's good. I think we have like